All right, so this is question 2 off of the practice final. The first thing you have to do is combine these two fractions into one, but you can't because they don't have the same bottom. So you need the least common multiple. Now, 6 is a multiple. 6 is a multiple of 3. So you want to turn both bottoms into 6. So take the 1 over 3, multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. If you don't understand why, go back and watch the fraction lesson from the beginning of the semester. So you're going to have 5 over 6 take away 2 over 6. Now, this thing is still hanging out there. However, what I can do, when you divide by a fraction, you flip the fraction and change it to multiplication. So when I finish combining these two together, I'm going to multiply by 12 over 5, right? Flip, keep, or whatever it is. Keep, change, flip. That's how it goes. So here, 5 take away 2 is 3. So you get 3 over 6 times 12 over 5. Now, I'm aware you can reduce this to 1 over 2. It doesn't matter. You can put the 6 into the 12. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 3 times 2 on the top, right? Multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 5 on the bottom is 5. So again, combine the two fractions inside the parentheses first. Flip this over and switch it to multiplication, and then do the crossing out. If you needed to write 12 as 6 times 2 to cross out the 6, same shit. You know, we did this before. If this helps you, then do that, okay? All right, so question 9 off the sheet. A lot of numbers here, you gotta be very careful. So I'm just gonna do this real slow, one at a time. -1 to the third, this is an odd power. So you have -1 times -1 times -1. Well, no matter how many times you multiply 1 by itself, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Do not think this is 3 or -3, all right? Now you have an odd number of negatives. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. So if this was even, if this had been 4 or 8 or 22, it would have been positive. If it's odd, you get a negative. Now, here's where you got to be very careful. I am subtracting 5 times 5. I am not doing this. I am not doing -5 times -5. That's not what this means. This is what it means. It means -5 times 5. And 5 times 5, not 10, it's 25. And then the bottom, I have a -2. Now I'm going to ignore this and I'm going to work over here. I cannot hop the fence with the power on. Shut the power off before you hop the fence. But even before I shut that power off, parentheses, exponents, right? Please excuse my dumb Aunt Sally. Parentheses go first. So first, figure out the number inside. 3 take away 5 is -2, right? Parentheses, exponent, multiply. That's the order. -2 squared is +4. So first you subtract the numbers inside, then you do the power. Now I can distribute. So here I'm going to have a -16. Over here on top, I spend $1 and then I spend $25. So altogether I spend 26. Add the numbers, keep the sign. When the signs are the same, sign number rules. That was day 1 or day 2. -26 on top, -2 on the bottom. You divide them. You're going to cut 26 in half, which makes 13, and a negative times a negative makes a positive. So I get +13, take away the 16, and I get -3. It's not super hard, but there are so many places you can make a mistake. You have to be very, very careful with this. All right, question 11, ridiculously easy nonsense. You got to reduce this fraction. So you need a number that divides 36 and divides 24. Well, I'll give you a big hint. It's 12. 36 is 12 times 3, and 24 is 12 times 2. Cross out the 12s, keep the minus sign. Wow, that was really hard. Now, the letters. You subtract the powers, and you put it where the higher one was. X5, don't you dare do this. X5 is that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And X3 is 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. You're left with 2 upstairs. Just subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. it goes upstairs. Now, where do you have the higher guy here? Y8. Do 8 minus 4, which is 4, and put it on the bottom. 4 on the bottom. Wow, that was so difficult. All right, so question 16. This can be a tricky question. It's not that hard, but you got to be careful. This is a greatest common factor problem. This is type 1, even though it's a trinomial. Look at how many letters it has in common. X2, 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 Y, 15, 25, 5. All the numbers, 15, 25, and 5, they're all divisible by 5. So your GCF has a 5. Now, take the letters they have in common. X squared, X squared, X squared. Hello? I didn't even have a choice there. All right, Y4, Y1, Y1. So you take Y1, right? You take the smallest one that you see. Now, put this in the front and divide it away. 15 divided by 5 is 3. X squared, cross out. Y4, take away Y1 is Y3. Pow. Minus 25 divided by 5 is 5. X squared, boop, cross out. The Y, boop, cross out. And you're left with Z squared. Notice that I didn't put Z in my GCF. He doesn't have a Z. He doesn't have a Z. That's not a common factor. So now the last guy. 5 divided by 5, there's a negative there, right? 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? 5 divided by 5. You don't believe me, do it on a calculator. X squared, boop, cross out. Y, boop, cross out. How did I started with 1, 2, 3 terms. I have 1, 2, 3 terms. GCF in the front. If you don't believe that it works, distribute this. Boom, boom, boom. Multiply him by him, him, and him, and you'll get back the original thing. So greatest common factor. Problem number 20. I want to check if -1 solves this equation. Now, you can't solve this. X to the third, this is impossible to solve. So you have no choice but to plug the number in and see if it works. So everywhere you see X, you put -1. This is how it goes. All the X's get replaced with a -1. Now remember, when you write this on the test, everything on the left stays on the left, and everything on the right stays on the right. You keep that equal in the middle and evaluate both sides. -1 squared is 1. -1 times -1. -3 times -1 is +3. The +4 was already there, just hanging out. -1 to the third. -1, look, if you got to write it like this, fine. That's +1 and then -1 again, right? So multiply it out if you need to. -1 to the third is -1. +5 times -1 is -5, and then plus to 15. Now I'm almost ready to do this. 2 times 1 is 2. So let's not be moronic about this. 5 plus 4, 9. On this side, I have 15 positive. -1 and -5 is -6. 15 take away 6 is 9. Yay! So this is a yes. It is a solution. Make sure that you write the yes. You got to write it like that. Just let it, you need to go. Just let it email me today. Okay? There's something I need to discuss with you. Do not forget to email me. Now, I want to look real quick with you guys. Are you all trying to tell me that this question was a piece of cake and this question was a piece of cake? You guys all did 8 and 14 that easily. Mo, what do you think? 8 and 14, easy.
A little tricky.
Tell me a strategy, man.
But 121 you put you gotta factor a perfect square.
Almost. Difference of perfect squares, right?
Yeah, different, but yeah, it's different perfect square.
So what do you do first? What's step one?
Um,
I'm working these two because I know so many people will fuck them up. It's okay if you don't know. I'm going to do them and I'm going to record them.
bring the
I mean,
16 over to
I'm going to show you.
bring the 16 over to the left.
Yeah, exactly. Set it equal to 0. You know, all right, I'm going to mute you now.
Okay.
So again, let me work these two. Of all the questions there, these are probably two of the ones that I see the most mistakes on. So, you know, pay close attention. But, you know, I'm going to record them. These are going to be the last two that I work, and that'll be enough for us. All right. All right, here we go. Now I'm recording. Number 8 and number 14, solve by factoring. So the first thing I'm going to do is set this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 16 over to this side. I have to solve these by factoring. I can't do them any other way. The questions are worded solve by factoring. Now, this is a difference of perfect squares. These are on my perfect square list. So how do you factor something like this? Well, I need something times itself that makes 121, p squared. So it's going to be 11p and 11p, something times itself. And then I need something times itself that makes 16, which is 4. Now, in order to avoid having a middle term, I have to make one of them a plus and one of them a minus. Now, what did I teach you? If the product of two numbers is 0, one of them must be 0. This is what the solvers do not do. They don't show all these steps, and you have to show all these steps. So set each factor equal to 0 separately, and then solve them. And yes, you have to show every single one of these steps. So here I'm going to get p is -4 over 11. And on this side, I'm going to add the 4. I get 11p equals +4. Divide by the 11. So then p over here is going to be +4 over 11. Those are my two answers. Set it equal to 0. Factor it. Set each factor equal to 0 separately. And then solve the equations that you get. Now this one's a little trickier. You got to set it equal to 0, but it may not be obvious how you factor it. This is type 1. This is the greatest common factor. You have a y in common, and 9 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to factor a 3y out into the front. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I'm left over with a y. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and the y's cross out. So this was how I factor. Greatest common factor, 3y, take it to the front. Now, if the product of two things is 0, one of them must be 0. So either that dude is 0 or that one is 0. Set them each equal to 0. Now here you divide both sides by 3. You don't subtract 3. This is not addition. You do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. Those cross out. 0 divided by 3 is 0. Here you're going to add 3. So you get 4y equals 3. Now divide by the 4. It's over. You get y equals 3 over 4. These are the two answers that you get. Now I want to go back here a second and point out, here's what I see students do. They do this. This is nonsense. The opposite of multiplying by 3 is not subtracting 3. Or I will see people divide by 3 and then they stop here. You have to tell me what this is equal to. This is not undefined. This works. 0 divided by 3 is 0. So you have to let me know. So these are the two answers that you get. If you don't factor this correctly, this problem will be marked wrong.